Good morning, all of you. 9th of June, Sunday. Now, this becomes a historic day. So many things are happening on the 9th of June, isn't it? We have the swearing in of the Modi government today in the evening, and that's a historic moment. And everybody is awaiting how the coalition politics will play out. At the same time, we have the India-Pakistan T20 match lined up. After Pakistan was defeated by US, it remains to be seen how these wounded tigers would respond in today's match. We have this beautiful session today. So हम लोग तो अपने end पे CFA का sessions करते रहते हैं, but we make it a point that जो CFA Institute के साथ, CFA Society के साथ sessions होते हैं, they are really special. Why? Because often the CFA Institute or CFA Society, they may not be able to understand the diversity of audience in India who are pursuing or who are thinking about pursuing the CFA program. You talk about an MBA in finance from the best of premier B schools. You talk about chartered accountants who have already cleared their CA and who are practicing in various roles, whether audit or tax or legal or accounting. And they are the ones who are looking at CFA positively and pursuing the same. You come down the ladder and you talk about chartered accountants as students who after CA foundation or CA intermediate, they start CFA preparation along with CA preparation. It becomes a tremendous combination, CA plus CFA, and it also takes a lot of maturity and toll as to how to balance so many things in the bucket. Because when we are into a very active job life and profession, say for example, Arati Mam, when she will share her entire thing with you all, you'll understand there's so many things in her bucket. So how do you manage the things? So I think those students who are doing CA plus CFA, they're a perfect replica of how things can be managed. Then if we change trajectory, we have so many engineers who have understood quite well that the major application of what they have done in engineering and now machine learning, artificial intelligence is into the finance domain and the CFA. We come down further down and we find that BCom graduates, okay, those who are pursuing BCom, BBA, they are pursuing CFA. And then thanks to the CFA Institute that they finally understood that let students start preparing for the CFA program after class 12. And मैंने अपने जीवन में जो सबसे ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट पाया है ना, if you ask me, let's आपको पढ़ाने में सबसे ज्यादा मजा किसको आया है, that has been जो class 12 passed out students है, because these people are like raw, उनको वैसे कुछ नहीं आता है, कोई biasness mind में नहीं है, and इनको जब CFA का कोर्स कराया जाता है from base, हर चीज को ground से उठा के, तो the way in which they pick up, you know, the type of knowledge that they build up in their mind is not affected by existing biases. They're able to think about it in a very different manner. The questions that they do, although I am really positively surprised whenever at that episode when I used to teach, okay, these students, and I'm really looking forthcoming tomorrow when my batch is starting, okay, to welcome these students on board. And these students will be rubbing their shoulders with chartered accountants, okay, with CA students, with MBA candidates, with engineers and eco honors. And the best part is that, like, I have been an ardent follower of Professor Damodaran from NYU Stern, and he always says that when it comes to investment management, okay, stock picking, common sense se upar kuch nahi hai. When one can build various models and complicated spreadsheets and all that, they're all welcome. But when it comes to basic common sense, that is what drives our investment journey. The best of stocks chosen by the best of stalwarts, that has not necessarily been chosen by some complicated mathematic model. That has been chosen by a theme that strikes the mind, by the way in which the society is moving towards newer products and the trends that are changing. And with that, stocks and discoveries and sectors are looked upon. It would be really unfortunate that India, which embraced the financialization cult, okay, especially after 2014, with the demonetization and all that, the financialization cult which really picked pace in India after 2014, it is necessary that these youngsters, they should know that the paradigm has totally shifted. If you really look at the future in terms of a career which is very, very interesting, every day in the job, there is new innovation, there's opportunity. You are not just doing some cut, copy, paste work and preparing sheets for somebody, but you are actively engaged in taking decisions, okay, as to what is happening in various sectors and all that. Plus, you are using a lot of technology, artificial intelligence and machine learning and big data. Plus, at the same time, the evolution of new asset class, digital assets. Okay, we may rub away that bitcoins and all that are unregulated, this and that. But the point is that if you look at the entire globe, digital assets are going to grow and they are growing at a phenomenal pace. Hats off to the CFA Institute because the way in which they have included these new portions in the curriculum right from level 1. The best part is that students of CFA level 3, sometimes when I speak to them, they become surprised कि क्या ये वाला portion भी CFA Level में डाल दी है? And I tell them yes, ये वाला portion भी डाल दी है. Whether it's private credit, okay, I remember way back in 2010-12, private equity was the only stuff we used to teach, and now we are teaching private credit at such length. So the way everything is pushed to CFA level 1, when we talk about CFA level 1, सब चीज introduce कर देता है और वो सही है. And therefore I tell that class 12 students, they cannot rush and take CFA level 1 by studying for 6 months or 3 months. That is not possible at all. They need to give the required time, 1.5 years, to prepare for the CFA L1 program. जबकि कोई CA है, chartered accountant है, he can prepare for the CFA program in 6 months. Okay, so there's a very diverse audience and everybody therefore prepares for the CFA program based upon their own background. Okay, and we also at SSCI strive hard to ensure that we have products and features which can cater to the requirements of all types of students. किसी का time waste भी नहीं हो. At the same time, ऐसा नहीं हो कि कोई illogically कोई stuff में ज़्यादा समय लगा रहे and unnecessarily wasting his time. So I find that ये जो investment management industry है India में, that's just started. मतलब the way in which it's going to exponentially become bigger and the type of career opportunities it throws to for students is unparalleled. I would like to just end my initial introduction with sharing a thought that I had with one of my students who works with Rare Enterprises. Okay, and he told me that, sir, I am very, very clear about the fact that the only and only way that wealth could be made in India, okay, for a youngster right from this age, is by way of having an equity stake. An equity stake can be made in 2 ways. Number 1, maybe you will do a business, maybe, or maybe you will do a job, not an issue. Number 2, you will continuously invest in markets and have an equity stake in all those companies. Because all the TCS and all the Titan and all the Infosys, they are what? They are just vehicles for you to have an equity stake in so many different businesses. And if you do it on a very, very analytical, religious, patient, long-term basis, then this country is there to offer you a wealth creation vehicle, which is gigantic. Okay. And CFA program, the way it is designed, it's building all the tools in that respect. Having said that, I have always been a great proponent about the fact that अपने culture में, अपने Indian society में, अपने family system में थोड़े से ऐसा देखा गया है कि females when we talk about the stock market, when we talk about actually stock market बहुत छोटा word हो गया. It's the capital market, the bond market that's burgeoning. But if I use the word share market, तो पता नहीं फीमेल्स कभी अपने आप को लिंक नहीं करते शेयर मार्केट से. दे इम्प्लिसिटली हैव बीन फेड विद द थिंग दैट शायद ये वाला फील्ड मेरे लिए अग्रेसिवली जाने को नहीं है, जबकि ये टोटली रॉन्ग एंड मिथ है. एंड आई एम सो ग्लैड दैट आई एम शेयरिंग दिस प्लेटफॉर्म टुडे विद आरती मैम. And I have interacted with her twice or thrice in the past, and today once again I get the opportunity, and I'm telling you that when I can see that she manifests and epitomizes the evolution of Indian female class into this great country's financial sector. Okay, one should draw inspiration, okay, from people like her, and I welcome the females in India, okay, those who are at various stages in class 12 or BCom or CA and all that, you should understand that this space, investment management, is typically suited for you. Okay, you got to think about this space as yours. You have a competitive strength, and that's why CFA Institute has so many programs encouraging women's participation, which Aarti ma'am will definitely speak about when she engages. So I will stop my introduction speech over here and welcome Aarti ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. Please enlighten all the students who have joined today.
Thank you so much, Sanjay sir, for that lovely introduction and for setting the context. It's always a pleasure to be speaking to young minds, and I thank all the participants who have joined us so early in the morning on a Sunday. That is a symbolism of their interest in and aspiration to build a career in the investment management industry. I'm really so congratulations to all of you for having taken that step of working towards or aspiring towards a career and setting yourself of lofty ambition. And I wish you the very best for this journey. I can tell you this is going to be exciting, interesting, as well as challenging. The investment management industry and the landscape is constantly evolving. It's an extremely dynamic field. It's never boring, and that's probably one of the reasons why it is considered to be so aspirational and so glamorous, that people who join the financial, who want to be in financial services also, most of them finally want to be in the investment management industry. I always will say that the investment management industry is akin to the Hollywood and Bollywood of the financial services industry in terms of the glamour, aspiration, and the volatility that it offers, the challenges it offers. Similar to these industries, the investment management industry also, however, requires of certain characteristics to be successful. The number of people who aspire for it is far too many, and the number of roles that are there are probably not in the same proportion as the number of people who aspire to be in the core investment management industry. So some of the things that one has to consider when one embarks on an aspiration or a career in this industry is, first and foremost, is you require discipline. The discipline, as Sanjay sir said, to stick to the path and constantly donate or provide or time as well as resources to following your ambition, and that you need to prioritize it over a lot of other things in life and should have that discipline to do so. The second is rigor. Rigor is demonstrated through your affiliation to a professional qualification. So when you take up a professional qualification that is for the investment management industry, especially like the CFA program, you demonstrate to both your clients as well as to your prospective employers that you are ready for the rigor as well as the discipline that is required to succeed in this profession. So that is the rigor that one has to demonstrate. And three is knowledge. Knowledge has to be acquired constantly in this industry, considering that it is so volatile and things keep changing. You have to keep learning every day. And that again comes through your affiliation to a professional qualification or a professional body. Because professional qualifications and professional bodies like CFA Institute ensure that our candidates and members are constantly acquiring relevant and updated knowledge. And that is why we constantly keep our qualification and our curriculum updated, and we constantly hold programs and events and bring out thought leadership content to ensure that our candidates and members have access to resources that keeps them updated. Fourth and foremost is I would say, resilience. You have to have a certain level of resilience to understand that things are never going to be smooth, that this is a marathon and not a sprint. So you have to stick to the path irrespective of whether you face challenges or not. You may not be a person who passes all the examinations in the first attempt, because that's not possible for everybody to do so. Our pass rates are not 100%. There are people who will fail, but the resilience lies in standing up again, retaking your exams, continuing on the path, and completing your qualification, sticking to your ambition and aspiration, and continuing on it. So, these are a few things that one has to be aware of when one starts aspiring for a career in the investment management industry. Various things, of course, I'm sure you have questions today on, like the qualification, kind of roles, how much do I have to study, how hard do I have to work. And I'm here to answer those questions. Sanjay Sir is an expert. He knows everything about the industry and the curriculum. And between us, I think we will be able to answer most of your questions. At least we'll make our best attempt. And I'm really looking forward to this interaction. Thank you very much for the opportunity again.
So, ma'am, before we open the questions, I would just like to add one more thing. Like in the entire system, on one hand, we have the students community who are looking at joining CFA program and who suppose join CFA program. On the second level, we have educational training institutes like ours, which is training them, which is aiding them in preparing solid background for the program. Then comes the CFA Institute, okay, which is preparing the entire ecosystem, which it is so good that they are connected even to the training institutes in such a manner. We don't find this culture happening in India, okay, where training institutes are considered to be some other people altogether, but that's great. And on the fourth level, we have the entire financial industry, which are going to employ, which are going to offer jobs, okay, to these aspirants. And CFA Institute is doing a lot in terms of trying to know their requirements, what is it that the industry requires, and those skills should be embedded with the students via the training institutes. Okay, so this ये जो पूरा का पूरा system है बहुत बढ़िया से चल रहा है. Just to give them some clue as to what is happening, we all the training providers, we communicated to the CFA Institute that geopolitics is becoming very, very important. Okay, because geopolitics ही तो हर जगह हो रहा है. उसके बिना आज के दिन global picture समझना, where are we heading towards, एक long term strategic allocation करना impossible हो गया. And the CFA Institute straight away introduced geopolitics in the curriculum. Okay, many people may not be aware of it. We talked about artificial intelligence, digital assets, that was introduced. We talked about so much of big data, machine learning, that was introduced. We talked about the fact that class 12 के बाद लोगों को permission मिलना चाहिए कि CFA program start कर दे, and that happened. Okay, we talked about the fact that केवल पढ़ाने से नहीं होगा किताबी बातें, उसको practically सिखाना पड़ेगा, and they brought the practical skills module in the program. So this receptivity, okay, is commendable. Okay, there is no limit to this receptivity, and please, ma'am, take it from my side that if you could convey our heartiest of gratitude from our behalf, as in the institute, SSCI, as well as on behalf of all of the training providers and the entire student community and aspirational youth of India, that these are really, really good steps that they are doing, and we would be very grateful for all the careers that will be created in future.
Thank you very much, sir. And we're always really appreciative and grateful for the support that our partners such as you provide to us. The last mile connectivity between our candidates and us is you. And you deliver to them a huge service in terms of preparing them for the qualification and the journey, as well as preparing them for the work ahead. The qualification, I mean, in terms of the industry. Beyond the CFA program and the qualification, the industry requires T-shaped skills. So the depth of knowledge is provided by the curriculum and the qualification, but the breadth of experience as well as other competencies such as soft skills and understanding of the industry, etc., are equally important, especially as candidates rise through their career. And there again, I see that this is our learning partners such as you and we are trying our best to ensure that those skills are also provided to and our candidates are equipped with them when they are ready to become a part of the industry. Our work with the industry is constant. The receptivity that you talked about comes because we keep our ears to the ground, and it's absolutely essential for us to do so. We consider that our responsibility. Our changes to curriculum come because we keep hearing from the candidates, from you, and from the industry at large as to what competencies they require amongst their current and future employees or workers or even entrepreneurs. And that's the basis of how the curriculum evolves year on year every time. We also work very closely with regulators. So the CFA Institute is not just an institution that has a strong, very rigorous curriculum and holds very difficult examinations. It is a not for profit global professional body, and we work very closely with institutions and regulators to create and develop a transparent and successful investment management industry in every geography we are there. And so we work very closely with regulators as well to provide thought leadership to help them navigate regulation in a manner that it supports the industry in its professionalism, transparency, ethics, and growth. And the institution also provides our members, as CFA charter holders, an opportunity to give back to the industry through our societies and volunteering, and that is always humbling for us in terms of the what we get back from our members. It never fails to amaze us. Our members are very closely connected. They are a family, they are a community. So when you become a CFA charter holder, you join a community, a family of 200,000 members globally and over 4,000 CFA charter holders in India who constantly are there and committed, passionate to giving back to society, to the institution and the industry. And they are extremely passionate about supporting young people in their journeys. So, this opportunity to connect and interact with other charter holders is the true leverage or return on investment, according to me, that members and candidates get through the CFA program and the institute.
So Vivek, I think you can now share the questions that students have.
Sure, sir. So before that, Arati ma'am, this is regarding the new CFA scholarship initiative, like for which I had a discussion with Sachin also. If you could brief everyone of us here, it would be a good audience that would be interested in this initiative of the CFA Institute.
Absolutely. I would love to do that. Thank you for that question, Vivek. Firstly, let me just talk about scholarships in general and come to specifically to what we have on board today. CFA Institute is committed to ensuring that quality professional education and qualification is available to everybody, and accessibility and affordability do not become a challenge or a hurdle in your endeavor. So globally, we offer a number of scholarships to our candidates who have a challenge with affordability. Our access scholarships, a majority of them are given out in India, are available for those who have affordability issues. You can apply for our scholarships and attempt to get them. We have recently embarked on any additional scholarships for our partners. Our university affiliate partners or those universities which are affiliated with us also get scholarships through the which are called student scholarships, which they give out at their discretion to students studying in those colleges. Now we want to extend our scholarships availability to our learning partners as well, like SSCI. So what we are doing today is offering a few scholarships to those candidates who have joined this webinar and who would be studying with SSCI or starting their CFA Level 1 with SSCI soon. All that you need to do if you would like to take on or attempt or want to take a chance at getting this scholarship is to fill a Google form, the link to which will be shared in this chat. And we will be running a sort of a lucky draw through which we will be handing out these scholarships to the few people who are eligible for it. And this scholarship would mean that you basically have to pay only $600 instead of the otherwise fees of $1,450 plus taxes. You pay $600 plus taxes if you are receive the scholarship for the CFA program level 1 examination and registration. So we shall be sharing the link, which has been now the Google form link. Please fill in your details here. I understand that we'll be leaving this recording also of this webinar available to those who could not join us but wanted to. And they can also fill in this form in the next few days, after which we shall be running the lucky draw. So the best of luck to those who are intend to or aspire for it. And I do hope that you get the scholarship and are able to start your program soon.
Ma'am, I think 16th June is the deadline within which
Okay.
applications need to be received, like that was
Okay.
discussed.
Yes.
So, for the benefit of everyone, all the applications need to come in within 16th June. It's a pretty straightforward form. Please make the most of it, because this is the first time this has been launched by the institute. This is a non-regular scholarship launched for the first time, right, ma'am?
Yes. This is not something that we do normally. It's a special partnership thing. I understand that some people are not able to open the link. We'll just check that out and reshare it probably.
Just share that.
This is for Vivek, this scholarship, this one is for which particular year or term?
Only level 1 examination, and it will be for you. If you're awarded the scholarship, you can use it for the next 2 examination, any of the next 2 examinations for which registration is open.
Okay, so November, that means November 24, Feb 25.
November 24 registrations are open currently, regular, yes, and February 25.
Okay. Okay.
Sure. Now let me, sir, if it's okay, can we just open the session for questions now?
Yes, yes, please.
Sure. Great. So Arati ma'am, we'll jump back to the participants, but one query which always comes is on the role of CFA and the job opportunities. So if in brief you could just detail the various, because generally we all talk about investment banking, but that is a very small subset of the entire investment management industry. And a lot of students have that query that after CFA, what are the profiles that get open up for us? So if you would like to just quickly take on that, and then we move to the active questions here.
Sure, Vivek. I'd really like, it's a very good question, and it's a question that everyone should have an answer to before they embark on the CFA program or invest into it. The investment management industry, to very simply put, is the industry which manages other people's wealth. The wealth could be managing institutional wealth or individual or retail wealth. To manage wealth, you basically need to do a few things. First is either you have money and you want to invest it, or you need money and you're seeking funds. And then there are intermediaries who connect these two participants. So all these participants, institutions or individuals who have money, who need money, and those intermediaries who connect them, including those who create investment vehicles or products to help people to invest and therefore carry the wealth to those who need it, are all participants in the investment management industry. And a role in any of these institutions in doing any part of the function that is required to run these institutions mostly qualifies as the investment management industry. Of course, you could be in the periphery in these organizations, like you could be in HR, marketing, or administration. But those are also in some way enabling roles. But the core job of these institutions is what is called as the investment management industry. So what are these institutions? These institutions are people who, as I mentioned, have funds like sovereign wealth funds. Those are funds were set up by governments of various countries, which help to invest the government or the country's funds. There could be endowment funds who receive grants, or it could be pooled institutions who collect funds from individual investors and then pool them in to invest in a particular vehicle. Then there are organizations which create products, insurance products, asset management or mutual fund products, or any products. Then there are people who actually deal with these products or trade in the various instruments that are created, like dealers, brokers, intermediaries. Then there are supporting institutions like custodian providers or settlement providers, institutions like this. And on the other side of the spectrum are the people who take that money. And investment bankers are basically one of those intermediaries who connect those who have money with those who need money. So therefore, investment banking is just one small part of this entire value chain. There are people, the companies which need money also require require people who can connect them with those who have. And investment banking is or investment bankers are one such group of intermediaries who help those who need money to connect with those who have it or help them to raise funds. The institutions who need money also need somebody to advise them on how to acquire those funds, how to use those funds, and that again is an investment management role. So you could be working across this entire spectrum and you would be part of investment management. Wealth managers who do the same thing for individual investors are significant contributors and part of this entire value chain. So if you are involved in investment decision making for anybody's wealth, then you are into investment management. And that's where a qualification like the CFA program supports you to do your job or to acquire the qualification and competence to work here. It's an extremely professional area. I think it's an area which is very important because the biggest asset a human being can have after his or her health is wealth. And so as a professional, if you're dealing with the second most important asset of a human life, then you need to be a good professional in every way. And that's why there's a huge responsibility on you as a part of this profession and being here. The typical roles that now I'll come to the kind of roles that qualify as investment management professionals. Typically speaking, if you work in the asset management industry, where instruments are created for pooled investments to be put in, then you would start somewhere as an analyst. You do not join this institution or this industry and become a fund manager or a portfolio manager or an investment banker on day one. You start typically as an analyst, or if you start from the client side or client facing front office side as it is called, you will probably start as a relationship manager or a client manager who gets the opportunity to connect with clients and acquire information about their investment needs. Then you could be an analyst, a equity analyst, a credit analyst, who's basically providing information to those who make investment decisions on the markets or a particular institution or an organization. You basically analyze data, convert it into information or reports, and support the investment decision-making process. If you otherwise want something like high risk, then you could be a trader or a dealer or a broker, either individually in your own capacity or working for these organizations. Then there are the large number of opportunities that are available in support functions like risk management, like custodial services, settlement, operations, etc., which are massive, which also require you to have significant information about the industry. And as Sir said from the beginning, the investment management industry is not only about equity. There are other instruments that are coming in that help you to invest. Debt is equally important and is a significant part of investment processing and investment channelization. channelizing. There are commodities and alternatives, which are basically the alternative space, which is growing rapidly now and is an interesting aspect of investment management. So there are various asset classes as well where you could be working beyond equity, which are equally, if not more interesting. And you could also be working in the private market space, which is again something that is really sought after, is tiny, but is emerging rapidly. Private markets is basically the PE and VC funds, which try to raise capital through equity, but not directly through the markets. So this is pretty significantly large and vast, the organizations that you work for. Another thing that is evolving rapidly where employment opportunities are growing in India is through the GCCs. So right now, a lot of people working in India in the investment management industry are not really working in domestic firms. They are working for the large global firms which have set up offices in India simply because they find that they have a significant talent arbitrage here apart from a cost arbitrage, which means they have access to a huge talent pool that is available. They want to leverage that. So today, global investment management firms, banks like Northern Trust or State Street or Goldman Sachs, find that they have more, if not the second largest pool or the third largest pool of employees in India, apart beyond their parent markets. So these organizations have a massive presence through their what is called back offices, but I think it's a wrong term to call them back offices because the people in these offices are literally doing most of the roles in the value chain of these institutions. And they are a significant employment opportunity provider today for investment management professionals. The best part about working for these firms is that you'll end up working for a global organization. You'll end up working for clients all over the world. And you can be part of the full value chain, literally, of work in these organizations while being in India. So that's another place where there is huge opportunity in terms of employment available now. And the last but not the least, wealth management. With the growing middle class in this country, their aspirations to derive benefit from the growing industry and the investment opportunities available in markets, they need therefore to have professionals who can help them or advise them on how to go about it. Creates a huge opportunity for wealth management professionals. If you are somebody who is interested in managing individual wealth, is ready to have a strong customer orientation and ability to influence people, especially individuals, I think this is an area that is going to also provides you the opportunity for being on your own, for entrepreneurship. Being an investment advisor, I think, is something that is so much of a need of the hour that you can literally consider it as a noble profession. So these are emerging opportunities and growing opportunities for young professionals such as you in the industry that one should always consider above and beyond just thinking of becoming an investment banker. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. This is a very relevant, very important description that everyone needs, because otherwise it's just IB everywhere. But we need to understand that the cake is huge and IB is a very small part of the entire cake.
Yes.
Sure. So I have an interesting query, and given the way AI is now engulfing all of us. So Sushil had a question. Hello, ma'am and sir. I am a CFA Level 2 candidate and aspiring to get into an equity research role. I have seen people broadly talking about AI in finance, that decision-making roles would not be affected, etc., etc. I want to know how AI has already impacted equity research roles, especially for a person trying to get into this specific space. So, ma'am, please share your understanding on this, and followed by that, sir, I would request you also, because you are doing a lot of work around the AI and using AI. So what is your take also on that? Ma'am, you first, please.
Thank you. What I can say is that it would be a fallacy to assume that artificial intelligence won't affect the investment management profession. I think that is a huge role that artificial intelligence has played and will play in this industry. And that's exactly why we've ensured that the understanding of AI is included into our curriculum. AI will not make you redundant if you know how to use it. But if you get challenged by it and if you do not know how to use it, there is a high potential of your risk or high risk of you becoming redundant in the investment management industry. So, you definitely, as a professional who's entering this industry right now, need to know how to harness artificial intelligence to do your job well, and also to ensure that you have the differential skills that is required, which AI will not be able to replicate. Artificial intelligence is very useful in the investment management industry because of its ability to convert big data into information and at a very quick and rapid pace. So, AI is very useful to read data, to collate data, and convert it into relevant information. Now, to be able to analyze that information and provide inputs to investment decision making is something that a human can do better than AI. But first, that initial step of harnessing AI to convert and collect data for you and convert it into in some sort of information very quickly and efficiently is something that as an analyst you need to know. And you should be able to therefore put AI to that use and also be able to read what AI provides you and make it more understandable and decipherable for people who need to make investment decisions. So that's one piece where AI is very useful. AI has also infiltrated into investment decision making in some ways that it does provide predictive support to decision making and can direct people to make decisions in a certain manner. There are opportunities and risks to it. The opportunity is that again, it can collect information, data, analyze it, and provide quantitative inputs very quickly. But that human touch that is required is something that only you can bring in. So I'll always stress on the fact that if you develop your humane skills, AI cannot take over you. The third area where AI is obviously playing a very important role is in fintech, which is making money more accessible, trading more accessible, and building platforms where you can transfer money or invest money. There again, if you as a professional do not know how to leverage it properly and ethically, you run the risk of either intentionally or unintentionally creating a platform that could make people lose money rather than gain them. And therefore, it's important that you understand artificial intelligence, you understand technology and the utilization of it and leverage it properly to create these platforms. I see that is probably why you see that a lot of engineers are now seeing interest in learning finance because technology and AI are infiltrating into every aspect of investment management. But the real risk, I would say, is if these engineers do not understand how the industry works, how these products that they are creating work. So, my only request and word of caution is to young people is that if you are trading in futures and options while you are an engineer or from any other qualification, or if you are somebody who is an engineer who is building something, a platform or a product for the investment management industry, please do equip yourself with necessary knowledge of the industry. It's absolutely necessary for you to consider a qualification in investment management. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. So basically, you touched upon all the aspects. I would just further communicate to students, maybe via examples, because many times in our teaching, also it is found that unless and until we exemplify something, it doesn't go into their head the way it should. Okay. So let me take an example to explain to them. See, When we talk about, say, equity research, we say that there are three ways in which equity research can be carried out. One is fundamental, the other is technical, the third is quantitative. Now, when we come to the direction of, say, fundamental research, we talk about analyzing the economy, industry, company. And when you talk about analyzing the economy, for example, there is so much of real-time data that is coming every day. The data becomes so humongous that it's almost impossible for a human being to collate it and to make a sense out of it. Thanks to machine learning, artificial intelligence, that the data collection, storage, collating, processing has become very easy, and you are able to ensure that your time doesn't get wasted in doing those work, because that work is done by all the tools at our disposal. The CFA Institute very well recognizes that there are two types of professionals who would emerge out of this exercise. One is those who would actually like to code everything, and therefore they started PSM Python, okay, right from level 1, so that people who are interested in coding, the hardcore engineers, they can further leverage their career over there. On the other hand, there are the second type of guys who would not necessarily go down to the level of coding, but who would like to be of the type that they have a lot of judgmental expertise as to क्या चीज कहाँ पे काम आएगा, क्या patterns evolve हो सकते हैं. तो काफी बार we would be able to think about something, but in order to do it, the data is so humongous and the things required are like difficult for a human to do because it's too much. So what ma'am started with saying is that the real danger, and what the student asked, कि how is it shaping the equity industry or क्या changes हुए, is the fact that those who are not adopting these tools, those who are still doing it the old way. For example, I remember in the very early days of my getting exposed to valuation in the mid of 1990s, I used to do it on pen and paper. मैंने 10 साल का टेबल बना के कंपनी का 2 स्टेज 3 स्टेज वैल्यूएशन करना, ठीक है, we have done it on pen paper, कॉपियां भर जाती थी and all that stuff. But who the hell does it today? Nobody does it. Okay, people do it on the spreadsheet. And then the point is that से जो 3 statements बनाते हैं अपने PL balance sheet, forecasted cash flow statement, the point is that why would we make it? मतलब, or anything which is a mundane repetitive work, that type of work or that type of job में जो number of people being hired will come down. Okay, and if there are a lot of people who were hired for the purpose of making financial statements, 3 statement modeling, I'm also hinting at chartered accountants who are doing that work of making those compliance and all those work. There, the number of people required will really come down wherever there is repetition. जहां बार बार repetition है, obviously machines are made to do that much faster and without any error. But where the work needs to be put in with a creative touch, with a judgmental touch, where you have to have a view, okay, and also out of all the data that is there, what data will make sense, what data should be used. If I am running a multiple regression, we have to be parsimonious. There could be hundreds of factors which big data will throw up, but I have to think about out of the 100 factors which 10 or 20 to work with initially, and then how to boil down to the last 2 or 3, and whether they're actually satisfying all the statistical tests or not, and whether, and plus the evolution, the dynamism with which everything is changing. Okay, what worked yesterday may not work today. So it is a given that any sort of technology in the entire human civilization has always ensured the efficiency of human beings increases, the productivity increases, and so much of market capitalization which has been created in the US, which has been surprising. In the COVID time, I think many, including me, were very pessimistic about how US was going about and their various decisions. But the way in which what has happened with US, and we are just awed by the fact that how they have taken the entire artificial intelligence league. The whole point is the productivity improvements that are going to come everywhere, including the finance industry. Okay, productivity improvements are happening. I would urge every student, and we do it every day. We tell the students that please, you consider your chat GPT or GPT-4o to be a co-pilot, to be a friend of yours. Okay. And you just talk to them. मतलब it's like a जैसे एक friend से बात करते हैं ना, तो वैसे you are talking to chat GPT that this is the topic I am doing for CFA level 1. Okay, I'm studying this chapter, digital assets, and they're talking about the blockchain infrastructure. I'm not understanding this. Could you explain to me in a simpler language? Because at your level, whatever you are doing, if you start using technology for that purpose, your convenience in using it increases, and you will find as you move ahead that there might be people who must have done CFA say 2-3 years ago or 5 years ago, and they might be struggling in terms of doing things which you would be so easy to do. So it's an opportunity to youngsters who are stepping into the program right now, and it's a threat to existing say 5 years, 10 years old CFA charter holders, because they also have to upgrade, and that's what we were talking about, the continuous speed of improvement. So whether it is going to reduce the demand for equity analysts and CFA charter holders, not at all. But whether it is going to demand that you know the technology and you upgrade yourself and you use more judgment, yes, it is. The unfortunate state of affairs is that you pick up, say, 10 candidates, okay, of doing CFA, and you ask them, what is your view about how the coalition politics is going to shape the markets in the next 12 months? If the simple question is asked, I mean to say a person should be able to speak out his view, and the view can be wrong because it's a forecast. Everybody makes wrong forecast, but the point is, how are you able to justify what you are viewing, your logic, your presentation, the human touch which she was speaking about? So it is very important that students learn to develop that judgment. They learn to differentiate them from AI, because HI will require AI, but HI is something that can never be replaced, and that will just take you to higher and higher ladders.
Thank you, sir. Very passionate view on AI coming from all quarters nowadays. So the next question is around experience. Like, we receive this query a lot often. People who have spent about 7-10 years in a certain profile, and now they want to shift or build a career in this space of investment management, maybe at a personal level, maybe at a corporate level. And how can the CFA program help them there? So that's a query. Again, Arati ma'am, if you could take that, followed by sir, if you could share your views also on that.
Vivek, I think the question needs to be a bit enlarged. I'll just do it
Okay.
Yes.
because when
Sure,
I
please
heard
do.
the question, I thought some aspects are missing.
Sure.
Aarti ma'am, one particular problem that is faced by all the students is that those who say clear their CFA program, CFA level 2, or say after CFA level 3, pending the CFA charter or immediately after the charter, the point is that as freshers, there is a huge friction in being absorbed by the industry. As freshers, as soon as you are experienced 1 year or 2 year, then it becomes easy to sustain and move your way ahead. But as freshers, it becomes difficult. In fact, yesterday I was speaking to an old student of mine, and he was telling me that's a problem. Kya hai? Even the agencies which do the work of getting the job, okay, their commissioning system is such that if they are giving experienced people to these companies, then they are getting their cut. But if they are giving freshers, then they are not getting the cut. I may be wrong, but that is what the student was saying. Okay, so I think Vivek touched upon one thing regarding people who have experience of 5-7 years in some other field getting into CFA. How does it help and all that, and what transition and what hindrances? And my thing that if students who are joining say after class 12, they complete CFA say 1 year, 2 year after their graduation, okay, but they are freshers. How do they go about L1 के बाद क्या करना चाहिए, L2 के बाद क्या करना चाहिए, क्या internship, क्या नहीं? You have a very good perspective, I think, and this issue needs to be addressed. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you very much. Makes a lot of sense for that clarity in terms of the question. Let me state what I said in the very beginning, that fortunately or unfortunately, the investment management industry is pretty narrow and highly aspirational amongst a very large population of people. So the number of roles that exist, especially at the core of all the investment management institutions, is limited and the aspirations are high, which is the case for anything which is nice,
Yeah.
right? There's only one cherry on the cake and the icing is always thin and all that. So one has to be obviously extremely, as I said, committed and sharp to reach where one and resilient to reach where one wants to reach. The path on the way is not always very smooth and easy. You have to stick to it. Now, coming to employment opportunities and how the CFA program or qualification helps. First and foremost is the young undergraduates who have now started taking CFA program level 1. For them, the CFA program level 1 is a differentiator from a huge, wide pool of undergrad fresher talent that is available to any employer. Because this is a demand less and supply high market in terms of employment, organizations have the privilege and opportunity to be selective about who they take in. And logically, if you see from their side, they do not want to invest time and resources into training you. So they think hiring an experienced person is easier because they know about it. What you need to do is understand your competition, which is probably somebody who is experienced. So, how do you, as a fresh graduate, differentiate yourself from somebody who has experience? One differentiator is having demonstrated that you've done CFA program level 1 or level 2, that you are really committed and rigorous and disciplined in your approach and therefore are ready for the industry and have the basic knowledge that is required for the industry. What we, however, find when we speak to employers who want to hire level 1, level 2 fresh graduates is two things. First, many of them have passed exams but do not seem to have acquired the knowledge. So, our request to you is focus on acquiring knowledge, not just passing the exam. See how much of the content can you absorb, not what is going to come in the exam and only limit yourself to studying that. Try to also acquire knowledge of the industry beyond and the curriculum. The curriculum gives you a global approach. As Sir said, that there are some domestic factors which are differentiators, which may not be in the curriculum. So keep track of the news, read newspapers, constantly try and apply what you have read to the real world and analyze issues or challenges in the real world. The third thing that one needs to be clear about is sharpening your influencing and communication skills. Again, not part of the curriculum, but essentially very important, irrespective of what field you go in. You can create a differentiation if you have stronger communication skills and clarity of thought. So please do work on that along with passing your examinations. These will help you as fresh graduates to enter the industry. Again, while entering the industry, please make sure that you will not become an investment banker or an fund manager on day one. Try and ensure that you are ready to start in the industry or institutions of your choice. You make a short list of companies you want to work in, and you're ready to start in any function in that institution. Because none of that experience will go waste. You can work your way through once you have entered the institution. So if there is a role in operations, take it, because that will give you some fundamental knowledge and understanding of the working of the institution. And once you are inside the company, you can always easily work your way to a career of your choice. I also feel that undergrad students with no work experience, you may not even know what the job description or the jobs are like. So once you enter, you will acquire experience that will help you to decide, okay, this is for me and this is not for me. So I would suggest that you prepare yourself in these parameters and think about it like that. Freshers are hired. Fresh graduates are looked into. As I said, the GCCs have a lot of opportunities for fresh graduates with a level 1, level 2 pass. There are wealth management firms or firms in institutional firms that are looking for people for operational roles initially, or analyst roles or analyst support roles. Please be prepared to start there. Another piece of advice that I would like to give fresh graduates who prepare themselves for the industry, I receive CVs constantly. I received a CV recently where somebody is interested. But if you only have a degree in finance also, and your internships are not there to prove that you have some experience of the industry, that can become an handicap. The other thing is, if you really want to start as an analyst or an analyst intern in these firms, have some body of work to exhibit. Like, for example, create a financial model and share that link either in your resume or with potential people on LinkedIn or on your LinkedIn profile saying, here's a financial model I've created. I'd love to, I value your opinion. Please give me your feedback. And let people see it and provide feedback. And that on your LinkedIn profile will speak volumes beyond what you are doing. If you are interested to be an analyst, write a report, a research report of a company, and share it with your LinkedIn connections and say, here's a report I have written. Can you give me feedback on how to improve it? That works a million times better than sending your resume saying, can you give me a job? So these are things that you have to do to demonstrate, understand your expertise in the space. If you really is going to be a tough part, you have to go beyond passing the exam, is what I would again reinforce. At the same time, it is a door opener. The minute you have those letters or you say that you are CFA level 1 level, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, the video is sometimes freezing, but you are completely audible.
I think she got disconnected. Yeah, she's there.
Yeah, ma'am.
Sorry, am I back now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, there was a connection issue.
So
So
you talked
I
about
was just saying that.
Yeah, you last spoke about the fact that if we connect on LinkedIn through research reports and through financial models, post that.
Yes. So those things are equally, if not more important. They are much better than sending a CV across to people saying, can you get me a job? Having said that, having CFA program level 1 or level 2 or CFA as a designation against your name is a door opener. It is the first step for people towards people considering you for a career. And therefore is important to demonstrate along with the other things that we talked about. Also, it helps you to connect to the network. So if you don't leverage the network as a candidate or as a charter holder, that can be a handicap, honestly, to your career. You have to voice. Hello, am I audible? Am I audible?
Yeah, more or less. Sometimes it's diminishing, but that's fine.
So that is equally important, if not more. So I would say that for those who want to switch careers from, say, a role in accounting or finance to the investment management industry, I think it's important again that the qualification be used as a first pathway towards doing so. I saw a note, a question by somebody saying, I'm a 4-year-old housewife. Can I start the qualification? The best part about professional qualifications is that they are open to anybody at any age, and you can start studying for it at any point. And if you are looking at doing something on your own in this industry or are looking at switching gears from a core accounting or finance role to this industry, I would say that CFA program is a great step in the direction because it's an open qualification. You can study at any time, and it again will help to demonstrate that you are interested in moving gears, changing gears, and in coming into the industry. And if you channelize your existing work experience properly, then it will actually help as a strength to you that you have worked somewhere else. And now you are changing. So you're not exactly a fresher, but you are probably better off than a fresher because you have experience as well as the qualification now. So it is definitely useful for people who are looking at shifting gears. We have numerous stories of people who've been successful in doing so. We've had returning mothers use the CFA program and qualification as an instrument to come back into the industry. We've had retired professionals or people who've spent 20 years as engineers or in project management being able to start their own portfolio management or private wealth practice thanks to the CFA program. So there are plenty of stories of such people and examples of such stories, such activities or incidents. So there's definitely a direction there.
Perfect. Sir, ma'am, there are two things that came to me when you were speaking. One was regarding the earlier feedback that we had provided to you and also to Sachin, that the PSM, practical skills module, that is not being taken seriously by students because it's not a part of their passing the exam. So since that is not happening, so ultimately they are not learning how to create financial models at the end of the day. Okay, so CFA Institute needs to work upon that, because since we have a CBT exam, I think it could, there could be some mechanism by which it could be inbuilt. Okay, and number two, second point is that, say, let me talk about something like, say, for example, the SME segment in the BSc, NSC, the SME segment. Now, if you talk about the SME segment to people doing CFA, they are unaware of the same. Level 2, level 3, whatever candidates. You talk about even IPOs, the requirements, or how do you evaluate the pricing or something. People are generally unaware of the same. So a lot of detachment with Indian regulations is there. So when the employers actually make them sit and they ask them, some of the employers are discouraged by the fact that इनको यार Indian regulations का कुछ आता ही नहीं. Now regarding this, we had a very deep conversation, our team, me, Vivek and all that. And we thought we will actually connect with you all to discuss that कभी कभी अपने India centric regulatory framework में practically कुछ छोटे छोटे sessions conduct करें, maybe primary market के ऊपर एक session, maybe BSc SME segment के ऊपर एक session, because that is quintessential. Otherwise employers का respect नहीं जा रहा है, खासकर which employers I'm telling you, जो medium scale employers है ना, say small brokerage houses or arbitrage firms which are there, okay, they seem to not acknowledge the knowledge which globally the CFA charter holders are having. We are having a very, very good skeleton of knowledge, fundamentally what needs to be done, but just because of the nuts and bolts which are missing because of the Indian regulatory system, people are, CFA students are sometimes not being able to. So two things. Number one, the first part, that is the PSM, that needs to be brought with some stringency in 2026 perhaps. Now we have a 1-year road where we can convince the CFA Institute. And second is, we will, as an SSCI, will correspond with you and with Sachin to hold some sessions on these regulatory issues coupled with finance in India, so that our students after CFA L1, L2 are much more acceptable to the industry.
Thank you very much, sir, for that, and very useful. Let me again go back and reiterate that passing the examination is just not sufficient for you to start or to maintain a career in the industry. I'll again reiterate the fact that you have to demonstrate your interest as well as knowledge constantly. You have to leverage the network that we provide. Adding things into the curriculum is very easy for CFA Institute. What it does is makes the curriculum more bulky. Candidates complain all the time that 300 hours also is not the recommended 300 hours of study is never sufficient to pass examination. If we keep adding curriculum that is assessed into it, then you will have tougher exams to take and make it more difficult. You have to understand as candidates that you are taking the exams for a higher or ultimate motive of building a career. So practical skills modules also, or any other content that is there beyond what is assessed, which is required to help you to achieve that ultimate motive, is essential. We introduced practical skills modules on the basis of institutional feedback on what skills gaps that prospective employees have. when they come for job interviews. And companies said, we would like you to make sure that they have these competencies, practical skills. They are more job oriented, job ready when they come to us. So if you're looking for a job and you're not serious about the practical skills modules, you're basically reducing your opportunity to acquire skills which your prospective employer needs. So they are very important. We do not assess them now because
Okay,
they are.
one more thing, ma'am. Okay. In the practical skills module, what is happening with students is that they are not able to exactly align with the teaching content. Okay. Because I think the CFA Institute should at least in future try to ensure that say they have tie-ups with 2 or 3 institutions who are teaching in a different tone. Like for example, there could be an India-based institution which is also providing the same, okay, which may be mixing some stuff from here, from Indian companies, okay, just to make it more exciting and all that stuff. I'll talk more at more length about it with you all when we have a meeting, okay, as to what needs to be done. See, my stopping you in between, you can understand the earnestness with which I stop, because it just hits me as to what is actually lacking. So I'm not able to prevent myself. Okay, so I think you please be cognizant of that fact.
No, thank you. Always feedback at any point is very good and essential. And all that I can say is right now to the students is that PSMs are equally important if you are looking for the job, if not more. Just because they are not assessed does not mean that you can ignore them. The PSMs, the connectivity to it, sometimes you're not able to see it as you say initially, but once you get to your workplace, you will realize how important it was or is for you to develop your knowledge. And it's a question of time. If we see that they become more important, we will ensure that they are assessed as well, if that's the only way to drive people to acquire those skills. But what we said initially also is that we find a lot of candidates focus on passing exams rather than acquiring the competencies required for the profession. And that is their stuff that cannot, that is basically is the challenge that most people face when it comes to employment or employability. I would definitely urge candidates to focus on acquiring skills beyond just passing exams, including those in the PSMs, including soft skills, and also knowledge of the industry. I would say that there are a number of webinars that we do. We have the CFA Society India, which is our member of association, runs a fortnightly career webinar where we pick up one segment of the industry and a professional literally analyzes the entire industry, including job opportunities, what work is there, and how you go about it. The recordings of which are available on the CFA Society India website. I would request all prospective candidates and candidates to at least pick up one such webinar and go through it every fortnight. There is something called the India Career Guide, which is available free of cost on our website. It is a compilation of the stories of our members from various industry segments in terms of what they did, what they do, what is the salary levels you can aspire for, how do you get a job in that industry subsegment. Reading those is just as much important. Please do access all these webinars and they are available to you free of cost. You can also join our conferences conducted by CFA Society India and CFA Institute. Either you pay for each conference independently or you become an affiliate member. Anybody who's passed level 1 can become an affiliate member of CFA Institute and CFA Society, and therefore then free of cost or at member cost access our content as well as our conferences and events. So there's a lot of such material. We would definitely want to create more material in partnership with you, more opportunities for people to absorb these skills if they are not already covered by the content that we create.
Great. Sir, we have so many more questions, but I think it's 11 past 11:45. So
Actually, after 1 hour, 15 minutes, for me, too, it becomes exhaustive in such sessions. And then the best doesn't come out of me. I don't know about Aarti.
So, if you allow me, just two questions, quick questions, relevant
Sure.
from. So, one is with respect to the MBA program. Like, is it compulsory to pursue the MBA program, or CFA is a brilliant foot in the door to get those Ivy League profiles? One is that, ma'am, if you could address that. And sir,
Yeah,
there is
I think even last time, Vivek, ma'am, you gave a very, very to the point and perfect answer to this. So you will definitely answer that. And what's the second question, Vivek?
And sir, second question I would like you to address, because this is from a class 12 pass out, with respect to pursuing the program, the timelines that he or she could look at uh, with respect to completing the entire program and the journey ahead for that person. So Ankit was the person who had asked this question.
So, ma'am, the MBA one.
Okay, the MBA one. This is a question we hear every time. CFA versus MBA or CFA and MBA. So the first thing is, as I mentioned, we can go back to the T-shaped scales. The depth of knowledge versus the breadth of knowledge or understanding of various aspects, and as well, of course, soft skills, which forms the part of the horizontal line of the T. So I would say that the CFA program is akin to the vertical line of the T. It gives you a depth of knowledge of most parts of the CFA investment management industry. The breadth of knowledge in terms of understanding of various aspects of generally what happens in the world, the impact, say, for example, of various things, and also to some extent your presentation or influencing skills are what an MBA would provide or can provide. Now, if you want to acquire both, you have the opportunity to do so either by yourself because you're a self-learner or a self-starter, or you have the opportunity to acquire it through work experience. The third option is to go to an MBA, go through an MBA program and get taught these skills, because an MBA is supposed to provide all this. Now, when it comes to prospective employment in areas such as investment banking and in PEVC, as I mentioned, these are really the creme de la creme of even the investment management industry, where these organizations require very few extremely highly skilled people, and therefore they are very picky about who they choose. So when it comes to these institutions, they prefer to go to places where they are pretty sure that they'll find the best of the best, which would be the top level B schools are an easy opportunity for them. So they generally tend to, when it comes to hiring fresh graduates, go to the top level P schools and hire from there. So again, being in those top level B schools becomes essential if you want to start or if you are looking for a pathway to a career in these firms. And again, if you are not in a top level B school, then it won't matter really. So one has to really aspire to be in the top level B schools. There is an alternative pathway, according to me, to enter these industries, and that is through work experience, which could be in any space. So if you are an engineer, if you have worked as an engineering firm and therefore have the technical expertise, or have worked in oil and gas and therefore have a technical expertise there, or have worked in ed tech or in a specific function where you have technical expertise and then you do the CFA program, you will be hired because of your technical expertise and the understanding of the industry. So that is something that you can choose as a methodology of entering into the PEVC or investment banking firms then. These are two opportunities, and I think this is where the MBA plays a role. It's one of the easier probably pathways or a shorter pathway. I wouldn't call it easy. Getting into a top tier B school is tough. So it is one of the possible shorter pathways to start a career with PEVC firms or within investment banking.
Yes, perfect. And the second question that Vivek asked regarding the timeline for a class 12 passed out student is that the timeline is going to be roughly around 4 years, roughly, because you start with the CFA L1 program preparation right now. You do not register with the CFA Institute because the registration window will open 6 months prior to your exam. So you are eligible, say for November 25. We are standing now June 24. You are eligible for November 25. So you will register next year in May or June or July, November 25. So level 1 is in November 25. And then once again, you have to study for level 2 at least for 1 year, if not 1.5 years. So by the time you are a graduate, you complete 2 levels of the CFA program. And then we expect, as we have been mentioning in this particular webinar, that you do some internship after level 1 or at least after level 2. The best of best schools which are there in the town, whether in Calcutta or Delhi or Bombay or anywhere, the best part is that many organizations, they understand that they get very good cream talent in the final year of graduation. So in Xavier's, for example, in Calcutta, a lot of hiring takes place. And I had seen very, very clearly that all those people who have done level 1 or level 2 of CFA, they are picked by them, not because of the tag that those people have done CFA, but because their understanding, their knowledge, their thing is totally different. Okay, their awareness is far, far different as compared to a person who is just pursuing graduation. So one way of getting into even the premier investment banking firms at the graduation stage, just after graduation, by completing 1 level or 2 level of CFA. I think that's the perfect setup. You complete 2 levels of CFA, and through your college, you get into some very big firm. Your life starts perfectly, and then together with that job, you pursue your CFA level 3, complete it in the next 1 year or 1.5 years after graduation, and then you take a call, which Arati was right now mentioning about, that where has your life reached? How fastly are you progressing? And what type of the broad skills have you developed as a result of your entire journey till now? Do you think you are personality-wise, communication-wise, linking-wise perfect enough, and you would not like to invest, especially time of 2 years and the 10-12 lakhs that goes into MBA, or you feel that you are lacking in the breadth part, although the depth part has come as a result of CFA, and you feel that, no, I think I should devote 2 years to MBA because your age would be perfect to go for a 2-year MBA at that time. So accordingly, take a call at that time, whether to go for MBA or not, and move ahead into your career. So I find that by the time you are in your late 20s or early 30s, and if you follow this time, you would be perfectly set in terms of whatever aspirations right now at the age of 17, 18 you are having. Okay, these 12 years are like superb. If you do CFA with WorkX, you reach to whatever levels, or if you do CFA WorkX and you move to MBA, that is also superb. So I think the risk levels are very, very low over here. Okay, you got to have that fire, passion of really doing it well. And I think because I have seen so many students, for example, today only when Arti was mentioning about sharing your report on LinkedIn. So I remember the student of mine, Tarang, who is working in Old Bridge Capital as a co-fund manager. Okay, he was able to reach that stage at a mere age of around 27 years. So you understanding the way it is happening. People are not recognizing that what used to take at least 40 plus, maturity ka sense 40 plus pe aata hai for somebody to become a fund manager, is right now happening in 30 plus. Okay, so that age ka respect is coming, that even younger age mein, that maturity, technology and everything is happening, and that is in the same lines of the CFA Institute allowing that the CFA program can be started after class 12. Okay, I may be a bit long in my answering, but the point is that this answer, in a way, tries to connect all that we have spoken in the entire session today. Okay, right from the LinkedIn, right from the changing the path, career, this, that, everything is getting linked.
Very true. Thank you for that perspective, especially of examples of people who succeeded because they have demonstrated their knowledge and network.
Correct. And Arti ma'am, please remember that I have, Khaskar, from the last week or so, I was thinking, I have 2 or 3 ideas which I wanted to discuss. So maybe I'll connect with you through Sachin. Okay.
Absolutely,
So that
sir.
what can we do on a voluntary basis? जो भी limited time मिलता है, perhaps some sessions through the CFA society, because people are really lacking in terms of Indian regulations, and उसके बिना acceptability is becoming a hindrance. We can say that उनको खुद को जानना चाहिए, but at least we can give them the direction ना. एक small session हुआ primary markets के ऊपर India में. How, what does it take? Nothing. But उसके कारण awareness आ गया, and then they can themselves learn more.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Very happy to contribute, and you will find that our practitioners and charter holders are always very keen. If our members in Kolkata, we have a very good network. We have a strong, vibrant chapter in Kolkata. Our members are more than happy to share knowledge at any time. And it's very soon in, I think, October or September, we are going to hold a conference there, which is called Masters at Work. It's our premier marquee conference in Kolkata, which has some really good speakers from the industry coming and talking mainly around investing and value investing to some extent, as well as on investing quantitative techniques and other things. I would urge almost every candidate in Kolkata to try and attend that session.
Yeah. For example, last year we had Samir Arora, Utpal Seth,
Yes.
and these speakers. So these are the best of best in the global financial arena.
Absolutely.
Vivek?
Yes, sir. So I think we should wrap it now because questions are still plenty. Well, thank you so much, Arati ma'am. Thank you, Sachin. Thank you, Sanjay sir, for this session.
And all the participants, do remember we are starting a batch tomorrow at 11 a.m. CFA Level 1 live face in Calcutta.
So that's an initiative after 5 years that Sanjay sir has taken again. Like he's coming live in a face-to-face format. So thank you everyone for joining in. Always brilliant to have the Sunday morning sessions. And obviously with Arati ma'am and Sachin from CFA Institute assisting us, it becomes even more interesting. Thank you, sir, for your comments, for your feedback, for your views on multiple aspects. Look forward to hosting more sessions on these lines going forward. Thank you, everyone.
And all the best for the match today.
Yeah, India-Pakistan.
All the best for the match and the batch tomorrow. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Always a pleasure to connect with you, Sanjay sir. We'll speak soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.